This is a great honor for every fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm honored to be in the NFL.
What can I say? Mamba out.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Afternoon Show presented by ESPN. I'm Chris Gonzalez, joined by Tony Gonzalez, Jay McLovin, and Frankie the Yankee. What's up, guys?
Opening day, baby. Opening day, and the Brewers are going to spank them little redheaded stepchild New York Yankees. Let's go.
Well, let's jump into it, guys, about Major League Baseball. What is your expectations for your team going into the season? Let's start with Jay. What are you expecting out of Houston this year? What do you think legitimately they can do?
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, Frankie pointed out, obviously Altuve is in left. I don't know how that's going to play because he is a little shorter on the stature side. You can kind of get away with it at second base. I don't know how well you're going to get away with it in the outfield because you're going to have to go up against that wall to try to snag those pitches. So I am kind of worried about that. And that's also a new position. He's never played that. He's always played second base the entire time I've known the guy. So I don't know how that's really going to translate. I do think it's good to put Yordan Alvarez on the DH side because, as you know, he's not as fast or nimble in the left field side. So that's one question mark that I'm kind of nervous about. The second one would be, now we got Paredes at third. It's going to be different not having Bregman there. So I'm curious to see how Paredes on the defensive side plays that part of the field. And then we got Rogers or possibly Dubon. If you look at the depth chart for the Astros, it says Maurice Dubon. But if you look at the opening day roster, it says Rogers. Rogers we got from the Colorado Rockies, 233 batting average, 500 something OPS. I don't know. I'm still kind of nervous about these pieces that we're putting in there. I think Christian Walker at first is a good upgrade over John Singleton and what we've had in the past. So I don't know. There's definitely some issues in that infield. And then we got Cam Smith, the guy we got in the Tucker deal from the minors from the Chicago Cubs. It looks like he's going to be playing right field for us. So I'm kind of curious to see how that translates, how good Cam Smith is going to be able to play at the Major League Baseball level. It's going to be interesting. So there's a lot of questions. And then, of course, there always existing question from last year is our relief pitching. Starting pitching is going to be fine. Relief pitching really hurt us big time in a lot of games last season, especially in the playoffs. So if you ask me what my weak point is, I think the weak point is still kind of in the relief pitching because we really didn't change it up a whole lot. But Astros got questions. And I hope they have the answers. And we're going to find out because they're going up against the New York Mets tonight, baby, or today.
I've got two questions, Jay. The first one is, why did they make that change and move Altuve to left field?
I don't know. Initially, and the reason why when Frankie told me that I didn't believe it was initially they were talking about him going to the outfield if Bregman stayed on with the Astros, and then they were going to have Bregman do third base. They were going to put, I think, Paredes at second, and then push Altuve to the outfield. That was the initial concept. Now, obviously, Bregman signed with the Red Sox, and then when that happened, I felt like Paredes would just take third, and I felt like Altuve would stay at second, and then they would figure out the right field part of it, either at Cam Smith or just keeping or having Dubon or somebody like that play over there. But obviously, that's not the direction they're going, and so we'll find out if this experiment works.
So how do you think they finish the year?
I still think we make the playoffs. I do. I think we make the playoffs. How far we go in the playoffs, you're going to have to ask me after we get more into the season because I want to see how these pieces come together. I want to see how our relief looks and how these young guys look. So I do think we have enough talent to get to, especially with our division. I feel like our division, and I hate to say this, but we're not as strong as I think we have been in past years or past year or so when the Rangers took the World Series. I felt like we were a much better division, and I think Frankie would know in that particular time frame because that's when the Mariners We're battling it out with the with the Rangers and the Astros for first place. So I felt 1 through 3, we were pretty strong. I don't know how we're going to be this year in terms of the division. So that's why I still feel like we got enough talent to get to the playoffs. How far we go, I want to wait and evaluate and see how they play before I go that direction.
Frankie, what do you think? What's your expectations with the Yankees this year, and what's your main concern going into the season?
Well, Tony, it's a very, very good question. My expectations for the New York Yankees is the same expectation every goddamn year. The Yankees will make the playoffs. We're going to do it, baby. Okay? Number 28 is right around the corner. It's opening day. I'm not going to be Jay and be like, we got Altuve in the outfield. We got some relief pitching, and we still got to see it. That's because Jay's been dealing.
You sound like a
with
Cowboy fan right now. You sound so Cowboyish right now.
That's because
literally
Jay,
put a star on your hat.
Seasons has been seeing the Astros start the season off slow.
By the way, you said you're waiting for number 28. Hold on. You've been waiting for number 28 for 15 years. 15 years you've been waiting for 28. So shut your pie hole.
Excuse me. Did I cut you off when Tony asked you your question?
Well, you brought my name into it, so I had to say something.
Get the Houston fandom out of your heart for a minute and let me do my topic. All right? I expect my Yankees
Can you spell fandom?
I expect my Yankees to make a real good splash. You know, Cody Bellinger loves hitting in the Bronx. I expect, and I'm predicting this right now, that Cody Bellinger gets a opening day home run in the Bronx because he does love hitting in New York. Paul Goldschmidt loves hitting in New York. There's no Giancarlo Stanton in the lineup, which I've been waiting for years. You guys know I've been waiting for no Giancarlo in that lineup, and I'm so glad we're starting opening day without Giancarlo Stanton. Thank God. But it's going to be an interesting and amazing season because the Red Sox look a little bit better. The Orioles are still the team of the Orioles for the past 3 years. So it's going to be interesting with these guys around the AL East. But, Tony, to answer your question, I expect the Yankees to do what they do, and that's win the AL East. Unlike Houston over there in the AL West, not knowing, like, what are we going to do? Let's start in the bottom, guys, and let's work our way to the top. Matter of fact, let's just finish off second, and we'll still be in the wild card. Whatever, Houston. And
I didn't say we're going to be in the wild card. I say we can probably win the division.
Do you have any concerns going into the season?
I do have some concerns. You know, Garrett Cole going out on Tommy John. The starting rotation is not what it was predicted to be last month. I'll say, you know, the past month, it's totally different. But, you know, I'm going to believe in some of these guys that got called up. You know, like Will Warren, he had a really good spring training. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to the Yankees. It's always interesting to see these farm system guys come up and get their major league debuts, because sometimes, you know, they can come out and look terrible, or they can come out and say, listen, this is what I've always wanted, and they pitch amazing, you know. So it's a up and down with the pitching situation with me. The relieving pitching, I feel like we got a lot of arms at relief. That's the one concern that the Yankees have been dealing with for the last couple of years. And Jay can, you know, quote me on that as well, because that has been a major problem for the New York Yankees, has been relieving. But now we got some good relievers, you know, adding a good closer in Devin Williams and letting go Clay Holmes and teaming him up with Luke Weaver is going to be an amazing thing to see at closing and other pitchers in relief as well. So I'm excited to see that. It's more the starting rotation now for me with Garrett Cole out for the year.
Hey, real quick, talk about that Bellinger trade and what terms that meant for Chicago when Mike told you about the news.
Yes, so I had some breaking news this morning from our boy Mike Hughes, who's a Chicago Cubs fan. And, you know, I say this every time we talk about him. He's been a Chicago Cubs fan. He's been a Chicago everything fan since he was shot up into the womb. But, you know, I got news this morning that the Yankees last month in December had traded Cody Poteet to the Chicago Cubs in exchange for Cody Bellinger. And news came out this morning that the Cubs have released Cody Poteet from the roster, which was not mind-blowing to me, because I tried warning Mike and a bunch of Chicago fans that it was not a good move. It worked out in my favor. It worked out in Yankee favors because we wanted Cody Bellinger. He wanted to be in the Yankees, following in his dad's footsteps. I can't wait to. By the way, I can't wait to see Cody Bellinger in the pinstripe today. It's going to be amazing. My heart's going to be heavy. I might drop one tear, not a bunch of tears, maybe one tear. It's not leftover, and it's not, Jay. Relax. It's not leftover tears from the World Series. Calm down. That's all out of my system. All right.
I still got pictures of that. It was beautiful.
But I try warning them. Listen, Cody Poteet is not a good pitcher, and they've seen it firsthand in spring training. And now on opening day, they release him. So it worked out on the Yankees' favor, and it didn't work out on the Cubs' favor. Typical Cub thing, right?
Yep. Well, Chris, what are you thinking about the Reds, and what's your concerns?
With the Reds, I think we're going to win the division this year. I'm excited about the Reds this year. We won 77 games last year. Didn't have a great year, but we only actually allowed like 4 games out of being in second in the division, behind 2 teams that tied. The Brewers won the division last year, winning 93 games. I think Terry Francona, just him being our manager over David Bell, to me is 15 games more that we're going to win this season at the minimum. So if you add 15 on what we won last year, right there puts us at 92, and we're right there for the division. So
don't worry,
I'm excited. Only really concern I do have is we do have a couple injuries going into the opening day, like we do every damn year. It seems like Spencer Steer's dealing with a shoulder injury, but they said it don't bother him when he's swinging the bat. It bothers him when he throws the ball. So at first they were going to put him on the IL, but then he's actually going to start today, but he's going DH. He's just not going. They're not going to play him in the field for a little bit. And then Austin Hayes went down. We just got.
I didn't know that.
They put him on the IL with a calf injury. It sounds like he could rejoin the team probably he'll probably be back next week. So it don't sound like it's nothing major, but it just sucks. Or we have a couple guys banged up early in the year. But our pitching staff's pretty healthy, and last year our pitching staff wasn't healthy at all. So I'm feeling real good about that. So I'm excited to see what we look like here in about an hour and a half.
Yeah, I'm excited. I agree with you. I think we got a good chance to make the playoffs, maybe even win the division, if we can stay healthy, because that's been a big problem with our team for the last few years.
And we also designated Stuart Fairchild for assignment,
yeah.
So he's not going to be on the roster.
And but my main concern is in the pitching side. Even though I think we got a lot of arms, it's who our closer is going to be. Our closer from last year is not done well, and they put him on the disabled list. And they had already said he wasn't going to be the closer to start the season because he hadn't been doing well. So maybe the injury is what the problem was. I don't know. But just is it going to be by committee? Who's going to step up? Who's going to take that job? There's a lot of arms that are pretty good in the relief staff, but I just don't know who's going to step up and be that closer. And I don't know how much time he's going to miss. So that's my concerns for the Reds. But I'm looking for a good season.
Well, you guys can be happy because after today, when you guys win, you're going to be in first place because we're going to help you guys by beating the Milwaukee Brewers for you guys. Let's go. Opening day. Let's do it, y'all.
Hey, no, I'm glad you said that, though, Frankie. Look, you guys aren't just going up no easy team. The Brewers, like we talked about the other day, it's a tough team to go up against, And
That's not what he said. He didn't say they were a tough team to go up against.
Oh, remember we was talking about the Milwaukee Brewers, how they were.
Yeah, but that's not what he said. He said the Milwaukee Brewers was like a damn cockroach.
Yeah, they don't they don't look good, but they always are there, man. They're always in the freaking playoffs. you look on paper, and Brewers ain't nothing, and they're in the freaking playoffs every year.
Well, they must
kicking the Reds' ass.
They're kind of like this. They're kind of like the 76ers of baseball. They're trash, but they always end up in the playoffs.
Well,
By the way,
at some point you're gonna have to learn how to deal with that cockroach, Tony and Gonzo.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
And by the way,
hey, listen, I feel the same way about the Rangers and the Mariners, or not the Rangers, but the Mariners. The Mariners are always down up, but they always give us a hard time. The Astros and the Mariners, I don't know what's going on with that series, but the Mariners have always just been an Achilles heel for the Astros.
Who do you think could be a surprise team this year in baseball? Is there anybody that you may surprise everybody?
I definitely like what the Giants are doing. I do like what the Giants are doing.
Giants.
I don't know, surprise team. I'm thinking about who would be the most surprise team.
I'm gonna say the Minnesota Twins. I feel like the Minnesota Twins are gonna be a surprise team for
He
everybody.
just said the Giants.
Yeah, he did.
You know why he said. You know why
I
he
know
said
why
the
he said the
Giants.
Giants.
He was thinking about the big blue.
No. Hey, no, seriously. I was looking at some of the pitching power rankings on a couple of different websites. They have some power rankings out, and a lot of people have. And I don't know. I mean, maybe I just haven't looked at their rotation enough to really make a good guess at it. But believe it or not, Seattle Mariners pitching rotation is actually really damn good. It's actually one of the strengths of that team. So I guess if you ask me, I think Minnesota. I'm not Minnesota. I think Seattle is going to be a surprise team. Yeah.
What's going to be is with
What am I laughing at? Where you been at the last 4 years?
I don't know. It's been a long journey back.
The Mariners have had one of the best pitching staffs in baseball for like the last 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying is I think that's a team though that could actually come out of like the third, because normally they finish about third, fourth place, generally speaking.
Yeah, they usually can't hit the ball.
Yeah.
They got great pitching, but they can't hit the ball. Is what their problem usually is.
Yeah.
And then their star Rodriguez, he's been having some injury issues too, it seems like.
My surprise team's going to be, and it really shouldn't be a surprise, but they never have stepped up, even though they spend all kinds of money and got a lot of talent. For some reason, I think the Padres are going to step up this year, and I think they're going to at least make the playoffs. And I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't win the division. I know everybody's going to think I'm crazy because I think the Dodgers are going to fall off a little bit.
I think injuries would be the biggest thing that causes them to fall off. You know, can they keep that whole team healthy? You know, I don't know. Is Kershaw, is he healthy? Is he actually starting this year, or is he still on the injured list?
I really don't know, Jay.
I'm gonna look into that one real quick because I was curious about him.
Chris, who would be? What team do you think could be a surprise team?
Reds.
Team beside. I'm trying to think of a team besides the Reds. I think the Reds will be in the playoffs. I think that will surprise people. I don't know. Boston Red Sox. I think the Red Sox are going to be a lot better this year than they were last year. Not that they'll win their division, but I think they're going to be a lot better than they were.
What the hell? You know what?
Hey, I didn't say they were going to beat the Yankees. I just think they're going to be a lot better than what they were last year.
One game better, maybe.
How about you, Frankie? Is there a team that's standing out to you that might be a surprise team?
Yeah, I said I thought maybe Minnesota would probably be a better team this year, or even and I know that they were Chris, Glenn, we'll get into that. Don't you worry. But I think honestly, and to me, it's not no full surprise, but there's two that comes to mind. Maybe Pittsburgh Pirates with Paul Skeens, having this started this year. Maybe they can do something offensively, or maybe even the Detroit Tigers. We know what they made a run in the playoffs last year, and Jay, you're you were a broom away, you got a little broom in your step with the Detroit Tigers, so you know a little bit about them. But I think they're going to make a little more farther push in the playoffs this year around.
All right. Well, got one other thing here on baseball before we move on and talk maybe some Pacers and Lakers and some other stuff. Well, of course, college basketball. But I've got the opening day ticket prices for the cheapest tickets for the games today for opening day. And this is on via Tick Pick, which Jay already knows. But Frankie, who do you think was the most expensive game? The cheapest ticket, but who you think what game is that most expensive ticket? This is the cheapest ticket at that stadium.
For baseball?
Yes.
No,
I think the most expensive ticket is probably going to be the Dodgers.
Well, it's the most expensive cheap ticket.
Oh shit! Probably just Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, that's what I would. That's good.
No.
That's good.
Most expensive. I'm not saying it right. Can you say it?
It's I mean
Okay.
it's the
Okay.
it's the game that's the most expensive to get in.
Yes, just to get in to see the game. It is the Giants at the Cincinnati Reds. $189 is the cheapest ticket. Where is the White Sox at on this list? Angels and White Sox is $33, and that's at the White Sox. Cheapest ticket.
Wow.
Of course, the second one was the Dodgers. Tigers at the Dodgers. That's $138. Twins and Cardinals at Cardinals, 123. Red Sox at the Rangers, man. Rangers, $122, man. What's Houston cheap?
Man, well, yeah. I mean, golly, $122 for a Rangers game.
Cubs at the Diamondbacks.
Wow.
Diamondbacks, $81. My daughter and her husband and my grandkids are at that game. Cubs and Diamondbacks. Braves and Padres, $57. Brewers and Yankees, $56.
I don't understand. One thing I don't understand is, our economy in Texas is, it's the same in Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, same level of economy, same level of income level, same cost of living. It's all about the same. So I don't know how the Astros are at $52 at the cheapest ticket, and the Rangers are at 120 something. That's just crazy to me. That's such a huge disparity.
Sounds like there's more Ranger fans in Texas
No,
than
that's
Astros
not true.
fans.
That's not true. That's not true.
If the ticket price is higher, that means there's a higher demand for
I
it.
mean, seriously, we sell out every time. I don't want to say it's not true because I have to see the demographic on that. I'm not
Yeah, I don't know. That was just me. That's just an assumption, but you know what I mean? If the ticket price is higher, that means there's a higher. They feel like there's a higher demand for the ticket.
But
I mean, yeah, I guess that's true.
I'm shocked. The Yankees are middle of the road. They're in the middle at $56. I mean, that's
is that game in New York? Or
yes,
is it?
that's in Yankees. That really surprises me.
Damn.
I
knew the Reds. Like I seen a picture earlier, and like Cincinnati, you can't even see cars or nothing on the road. All you could see is the sea of people.
Yep.
I mean, it's
that
just
parade. That parade's nice.
It's just, but like Glenn said, it's like it's a holiday in Cincy. Opening day.
Yeah, it is.
Opening day is the city basically shuts down.
schools-
It's all about
schools are out.
yeah. It's all about baseball.
Wow, they canceled school for that game? Really?
Yeah.
Wow,
Well,
that is a big
they
deal.
canceled.
That's crazy.
Be spring break. It might be spring
It
break.
It may be. I'm not sure, but I think they have. I know they have in the past. I know. I remember.
Yeah, if it's not spring, if it's not during spring break, yeah, they like I said, like Glenn said, it's basically like a holiday.
Well, the radio station WOW used to cover. I mean, starting at 7:00 in the morning. It was traffic coverage. It was parade coverage. It was the whole day, and then the game, and after the game. Yeah. Of course, I don't listen to the radio as much as I used to. Of course, but when I was at work, I always listened to.
I wonder what the Dodgers, Tony. Does it say on there what the Dodgers ticket is going for? The cheapest Dodgers ticket?
I think it was 138, wasn't it?
Dodgers is 138, and it's the second most expensive to get
I really thought that the Dodgers would have came in at the most expensive cheap ticket because of their payroll. And I thought the Mets would have been right there with them because of their payroll. It's interestingly enough that they're not number one, either one of them.
Well, Jay, these tickets here, this is going by basically resale because
it's tick pick
resale price. So,
okay, I got.
So this isn't like by coming from like the priced by the Dodgers or priced by the Reds. So that's why I'm saying like this tick picks must for it to be the Rangers game to be a little more expensive in Houston. They must feel like that there's more demand for that ticket. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
That's a good point. The third on the list, $123, is the Twins at the Cardinals.
Yeah, because I was looking at tickets for the Reds game last week because I was thinking about going, but I was waiting to see what the weather was going to be like. And then, the cheapest tickets I could find on any of them was like 130, 140. It was you couldn't find nothing, and that's like the cheapest tickets. That's sitting up at the top too. It ain't like you're getting a good seat.
Well, you guys want to talk a little NBA and then
And to put that in perspective, Jay, I went last year, sat 2 rows behind the dugout, paid $70 for a ticket before, sat 2 rows behind the dugout, and today to get in the stadium and sit at the very top, you're paying was it $140 or whatever?
$180.
The legendary name is Glenn Richardson.
I seen he won some concert tickets or something.
Yeah, that Glenn gets those tickets, man. I'm telling you, he's the luckiest guy I know. But I was looking at that. Glenn put it on there. I mean, look at that sea of people.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Cincinnati.
That's crazy to me.
They go all out, man. They have for years. I mean, that was that way. It was that way in the 70s.
Appreciate the pick, Glenn. I didn't realize. I mean, I know Gonzo was talking about it, but talking about it and actually seeing it is two different things. I mean, that's pretty crazy. It's pretty nuts.
Okay, guys, we'll talk a little NBA. Let's talk a little bit. I know Frankie wants to talk about this, and I know Big Glenn's brought it up to the Lakers and the Pacers last night. LeBron broke the Pacers' heart with a tip-in right at the end of the game. I know Chris wasn't real happy with some of the coaching. So, Frankie, what did you think about that game last night?
I thought that game was fantastic. It was fantastic from start to finish. It felt like a playoff game. It felt like an NBA Finals game. Everything about it was good. You know, you had two teams. Miles Turner hitting crazy amounts of threes. Tyrese Halliburton doing what he's got to do. Then you got the Lakers with Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic, and you got LeBron James not showing up until the moment counted the most. It was really good. Like it was a back and forth game. At one time, the Pacers were almost up by 10. At one time, the Lakers were almost up by 20. Both teams ended up coming back on each other, and it ended up with the Lakers over the Pacers by 1, and literally by 1 point on 0.1 seconds in the clock. Everything about that was crazy. I know you guys, Tony and Chris, we talked about it earlier. Tony was upset about the blocking at the end, and he got Chris upset with the coaching at the end. But me, I'm excited because guess what? LeBron was at the right spot at the right time. Didn't have a good game, but as long as you got that game winner for us and secured a victory, because that was a must need victory for the Lakers. Not much more for the Pacers because they're still right there with the Knicks, especially with the Knicks losing last night. So it was a must win for the Lakers, and I couldn't be more excited for them and what that victory meant. And more so, this victory for the Lakers is more like when playoff times come, we're gonna look back at this game, this very game. That I know we have many other games that you could look back on, but this very game is what everybody's gonna look at because it was a 1-point game, a 1-point win over Pacers. And now when you look at it towards the playoffs, they're gonna look at it as, what if the Lakers would have lost that game? Because we could have been closer into the play-in tournament, but now we're back in 4th place, going up against the Chicago Bulls tonight. So we're gonna look back at this game when the time is right.
And you guys owe the Bulls too.
Yeah, you definitely. I think if you hadn't won that game, you definitely would have. If you would not have beaten the Pacers last night, you would have definitely be in the number 5 spot, and not too far off from where the Clippers are. Clippers are about 19 games back. You would have been about 17. It would have probably been about a 2-game separation between you and the 6th spot. So yeah, I think, like you said, last night was very pivotal for you guys to get that win, to keep number 1, to get the momentum. Because look, ain't got, but now at this point, you guys got 8 games left, I think, before the playoffs. So beating teams like the Pacers, even if it's in dramatic fashion, that, like you said, that's much more than just a play-in or what spot you're in. That really has to do with how you're going to perform once you get into the playoffs. So that was a big win for you guys.
And honestly, it was a big loss for the Pacers. And I know people say, well, they didn't lose any ground because Milwaukee lost and the Knicks lost.
Right.
But you got to look at it like this. If we win that game, we separate the Milwaukee back and we gain another game on the Knicks. So to me, it's a big loss. But I mean, what are you going to do? But Chris, I know you had some thoughts.
For one, it's definitely the best NBA game that I've watched this year. I haven't watched as much as I have in the past. It's just been hard for me to get into the games. That game was a great game to watch. It was back and forth. There was no point where, for example, the game after the Celtics and the Suns, I knew who was going to win that game after the first 3 minutes of the game. The Lakers and Pacers game, during the whole game, there was never a point where I thought the other team was done. You know what I mean? Even when the Lakers, like Frankie said, they built up that lead and got by like 15. I never felt like the Pacers was out of it because the Pacers kept battling and would get it back within like 4. Then they get back up to 9. Then the Pacers, and then the Pacers had like a 10-point lead too. So it was just going back and forth. But I think Rick Carlisle really messed up there at the end of that game. You're up by 1, you get a stop. There's like 30 seconds left, or like 30 seconds left in the game. You took Halliburton out before that for the defensive possession, which I agree with, because who would the Lakers attack if he was on the floor? They're going to attack Halliburton. He's our weakest defender. But you get the rebound after the stop. You take the timeout and get your point guard, who, in my opinion, is one of the best. He might be the best point guard in the NBA right now. He's right up there with any of them. I mean, if you're looking at what the guy doing, hell, he had 11 assists in the first half last night.
He had 18 total, and you don't have him on the floor.
Yeah. Well, and not only he wasn't on the floor on the last possession there, you don't call the timeout and get him on the floor, and you get a terrible shot, forced circus 3 by Mathurin. But then not only that, he didn't even play that much in the fourth quarter. I know he played a lot in the third quarter, but hey, this like Frankie said, this was like a playoff game. So I think he should have played more in the fourth, but you definitely have to call. I can understand if you didn't have a timeout, but you had a timeout. Yeah. You got to call a timeout there, get him back on the floor, and get your offense set, because that's a big possession. Even if you just get a layup, now it's a 3-point game. They go down there, they have to score a 3 to tie the game.
Or you try to get inside and get fouled.
Or even that, or if you hit a 3, game's over pretty much. So you have to call a timeout there and get your best ball handler back on the court. That was my only complaint. But game wise, other than the Pacers losing, it was a great game to watch. It was a fun, exciting game to watch. I was into the game the whole game. But yeah, me and my cousin were both cussing Rick Carlisle the whole. Well, as soon as they got the ball, we're both yelling, call timeout, get Halliburton. I mean, like, you had to get Halliburton back on the floor.
Well, I seen, because I was at work, and a guy we both know, the wrestling promoter, who's a big Pacer fan, was probably at the game. Said he's tired of losing to the Lakers and LeBron getting that tip in. But what it made worst of all, your best player is not on the floor.
Yeah.
So
and you had a timeout where you could have got him on the floor. You had the timeout and the ball. You can get him on the floor, and they didn't do it.
Let me ask you this: if you don't have a timeout, do you leave him on the floor?
And that's the thing. I think if they didn't have the timeout, they would have left them on the floor. So that's why it makes no sense that you didn't take the timeout.
Yeah, it does.
Jay, you see the difference. You see the difference. I'm happy, and you see the Pacers fans. Don't you just love it? I love it.
You know what? I will say this though, Tony, for you guys. Cameron Payne. Now they got him listed as day to day. So Brunson's still gone for a week at New York. So really. They're going, and I think the other guy, I forget his name, but there's like 3 guys right now that are down for them at the point guard spot. So the Knicks are really going to be hurting going over the next 7 games. They got 10 games left on the schedule.
Don't mean to cut you off, Jay.
They could drop 3. No. They could drop 3 games out of the 7 and put you guys up in that number 3 spot.
And not to like interrupt or cut you off, but they also last night OG Anunoby got hurt. Like, what's his situation going to be like with the New York Knicks? Because he was playing and then he got hurt towards the end of the game. How bad is that injury and how long is he going to be out for? So this always happens with the New York Knicks. They're built, for a great season and a great run, and then towards the end of the season, they end up getting hurt one by one.
What's big is for the Pacers, they got to win the night against Washington. You can't lose against Washington.
It's a big game for the Lakers
and it's a big game for the Lakers going against the Bulls on the second night of a back-to-back too. So I mean, both the Lakers and Pacers it's a big game for them tonight.
They owe the Bulls. The Bulls beat the shit out of them here. The Lakers got to send a message.
Yeah. Are you guys home?
Even LeBron. LeBron mentioned now McAfee's interview yesterday. Yeah, we got a little revenge that we need to get with the Bulls. Like,
Chris, Tony, are you guys home?
Yeah.
No, tonight.
No.
Yeah, but see, so that's the difference. I understand you guys are playing back to back, But you see how and I don't want to make it seem like our situation is worse than you guys, because it's true, right? You guys need to win, and we need to win bad as well. But look at look at what's going on with the Lakers. They just traveled, right? They're traveling everywhere. They just came from Indiana, now having to travel to Chicago. Then after that, they got to travel to Memphis. So they having to travel everywhere, and they're having to play 6 games in 8 days. That's many back-to-back games. It's insane for the Lakers. And how well is LeBron going to keep up, because he's
I was
not
going to ask you
looking
that,
well.
Frankie. Do you think that they rest Bron?
We're traveling tonight as well. We have to go to Washington. We're on the road tonight. We was at home last night, but now we're on the road tonight. But yeah, no, the the Lakers have had a crazy schedule the last few days. They played a lot of games.
Some of that because of the wildfires.
Yep,
which that sucks.
Yeah, to answer your question, Jay.
How it's going to affect LeBron? One thing though, you got to remember, LeBron is basically just coming back, so he had missed a little bit of them that many games in 8 days. So in a way, that might have been a blessing that he had that little injury at that time.
I just don't know if it's going to be able to handle
save some of his legs for the playoffs.
Yeah, because that workload, like you just mentioned, the amount of games and days, that's a big workload for him. And it's not against easy teams. It's going to require a lot from him to be on that court. And that's
I don't care
if they rest him.
So I don't care about much of the work. I don't care about much of the workload and how many minutes he's playing. What's catching my eye is the lack of shooting that he's doing. The man didn't make he entered the fourth quarter with only 5 points, and that's not even points from a field goal. That's points from free throws. So he technically went into the fourth quarter 0 for 7 or 0 for 8 from the field, and then decided to start making shots, ending the game with 13 points. If we're gonna need LeBron to be LeBron, we're gonna need him to score more points. See open looks, get open shots, and we're not seeing that lately. And I don't know if it's because of the injury that he's coming back from, or because he's seeing that Luka and Austin Reeves right now are taking over.
I'll tell you what concerned me for a little bit for the Lakers last night. Watching that game was Luka Doncic looked gassed in that fourth quarter. There was a few possessions in that fourth quarter. It looked like he was having trouble getting back up the court. Even the commentators on TV had mentioned. I was like, yeah, he looked gassed. And I watched him play quite a bit, and I usually don't see him like that, but he looked like he was gassed last night, especially toward the end of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, Rockets got the Jazz tonight, so we should beat the Jazz. I hate saying that because you never know, man, in this league. No. But
hey, Frankie, did you think that Luka looked like he was gassed late in that game?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I feel like because he played so much in the first half. Honestly, he was going crazy in the first half. You guys seen it? Because I said in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, when I seen you guys come back, I'm like, where the hell is Luka at?
Yeah, he looked like he was tired in that fourth. There was a couple times coming up the court. I was like, damn, man, he looks rough.
One other thing with the NBA guys, the Pistons have moved ahead of the Bucks. What do you guys think about that? And can the Pistons stay ahead of the Bucks? I think they can with the Bucks injuries.
I think unless the Pacers move ahead of the Knicks, I think it's going to be Pacers and Pistons are going to be the 4 or 5 and be the first round of the playoffs. I think the Bucks are going to fall back to at least the 6th spot.
And wasn't the Pistons the worst team in the league last year?
One of them. They might have been the worst.
I think they may have been the worst.
They weren't very good.
Yeah, I definitely think with the injuries that they've had to Lillard and so forth, that it definitely opens up the door for Detroit to capitalize off of it and slide up. So, I mean, everything is there for Detroit. They're another team that, this year has really kind of come up from where they were, because obviously the Rockets and Detroit, we kind of rebuilt our teams pretty much about the same time.
Big thing.
They're really right there. They're on pace where we are. And
they won 14 games last year.
Yeah, won 14 games last year. And the big key when you say that, Jay, is you said it about Houston, and you got to say the same thing about Detroit. It's coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
they won 14 games last year, and they've won 41 games this year.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge jump. And you got to think, it's not like they had this rash of players come in. It really is that coaching.
They're young guys at Cunningham, and them guys are or is really starting to develop.
Yeah.
Which goes
And
back,
Ivy, I think
which goes back,
now.
which goes back to coaching.
Yeah, of course. I know.
Okay.
I was curious to see if Jake Ivy, if he was hurt, or if he's actually back in the lineup. I know he missed some time there for a little while.
Guys, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but I think the Pistons better watch out. But people better not sleep on them. They ain't got nothing to lose. Same way with the Rockets. They ain't got nothing to lose from where they were last year and where they're at now. They ain't got nothing to lose.
It's almost like you're playing with house money, given where you were last year or where you are this year.
You're not
It's
supposed
almost
to
like
be
you're playing
there.
with house money.
You're not supposed to be there. So let's take it to the limit. Yeah.
Hell yes. Balls to the wall, killer. Let's go.
Well, guys, let's talk some college basketball. The first
before
game.
you go there, you mentioned in pre-show, Tony, about possibly, will the Pacers hang on to a Halliburton, considering that you've let some of the other guys go? Do y'all feel like you guys are going to be able to hang on to these group and keep building what you got going on? Because you got a great thing going.
I do, because when George and them guys left, they didn't leave because the Pacers. It wasn't like they left because the Pacers said they weren't going to pay them.
They didn't want to be there.
They left because George wanted to go to L.A. He wanted to play with the Lakers. You know what I mean? They just didn't want to be in Indiana. Halliburton, to me, is different, just from the time he's been here and the way his family is around Indy, and just the interviews I heard. I think he'll be here. Plus, they're doing a great job of building a team around him. I think we're in a good situation where the guys are going to want to stay, because hell, we were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. I mean, we're right up there in the top 4 in the Eastern Conference again this year. I mean, we're competing at a high level in the NBA. So why wouldn't players want to stay? Where maybe in the past, maybe we wasn't, but even when we was, them guys truly didn't want to be there. They wanted to be in bigger markets where they thought they were going to be able to make money. And Oladipo and George both kind of chose to leave because they felt like they could go other places and make more money, other than it was like the Pacers refused to pay him.
George didn't surprise me leaving. Oladipo did. He fooled me. He thought he way he acted, man. I'm an Indiana guy. He was great to the fans. He was great to the kids. I thought he was going to be there, and just all of a sudden, man, one season, it turned. He got the big hit, and he was a superstar, and it just all changed. I don't think that will happen with Halliburton.
And what I'm excited about with the Pacers too is we made the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and all everybody wants to talk about is the injuries other teams had. We didn't have one of our best players on our play at all last year in the playoffs, and Benedict Mathurin. We didn't have him at all last year in the playoffs. Right. As long as there's no injuries or something between now and then, we're going to have him this year. Yeah. So I mean, we're going to be healthier this year than we were last year.
For sure. And a couple of things to note there too.
I believe we're a better team than we were last year. We are. And Neesmith just got back from that injury a few weeks ago, and he's getting back in the starting line. You see him getting in rhythm, and he's been shooting like 47% from 3-point range since he's been back. I think we're in a good spot right now, because we don't got we just need to finish this season out and get some wins, and hopefully no injuries. And if that happens, I'm excited about what they could do in the playoffs.
I'm not worried about our offense. I still worried a little bit about our defense and our
rebounding. Defense wasn't too bad last night.
And rebounding still. That's still a concern for me, but I agree with you. We were better than we were last year. Okay, guys. Let's talk.
Though. Hey, you guys got right now Detroit. Just a little update on them, which I think is Cunningham is day-to-day still after he tweaked his calf against San Antonio, or he missed the game against San Antonio. And Jake Ivey is still out, so he's not going to be back anytime soon. So I don't know. I think you guys can hold off Detroit. I think you can hold off Detroit and hang on and keep where you are, I guess, to answer that question from earlier.
I think so.
Yeah, I do too. As long as I don't care if we get 3 or 4. I just want to stay in the top 4 so we get
for sure.
We get home court in the first round.
Okay, guys, let's talk some college basketball. The first game tonight is BYU against Alabama. Alabama's the favorite there. I think they're like 5.5 point favorites. Who you guys like in that game? BYU and Alabama.
Alabama's the 4.5 point.
4.5. Okay, it was 5.5 earlier. Okay. Well, it may have been a different line too.
Yeah, Alabama's 4.5-point favorite, and the over under is at 175.5. I like Alabama to win the game, and I like the over the 175.5.
BYU's look pretty good. But yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with Alabama too.
I think I'm going to be the odd duck here. I like what BYU has been doing in these playoffs. You know, they've had some good matchups, and that they've come out on top. I'm going to roll with BYU on this one. I just have a feeling for some reason I think BYU is going to take it, so I'm going to roll with BYU on this one.
Okay, the next game up after that, and I'm going by what time the game start. Next game after that is Maryland against Florida, and big news there, guys. Big news come out. That one player from Maryland, Queen, has announced he's entering the portal.
Yeah, because he's probably going to Villanova with the head coach of Maryland that's taking the Villanova job.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Florida's a 6.5-point favorite in this game, and the over/under is at 157.5.
I'm going with Florida. I think there's just going to be too much for Maryland. Maryland at time has trouble shooting, and if they have trouble shooting in this game, they're going to get way behind, and Florida will knock them out, I think.
Yeah, I like Florida as well. I just think Florida's going to be too deep. Maryland has one of the best starting fives in the country, but they're not very deep. They don't play many guys off the bench, and I just think it's going to be hard for them to keep up with Florida for the whole game. So I'm going to go with Florida as well.
What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, you know, they took out UConn, and they've beaten Tennessee, they've beaten Alabama, Mizzou. They destroyed Alabama at 104-82. So I believe, like you said, their depth, their chemistry, the way they're playing right now, they're clicking on all cylinders. You know, I actually think Florida is probably going to be one of those tougher teams in the Final Four when they get to that point.
A lot of people think Florida's the best team. There's a lot of people think Florida's the best team in the tournament.
Well, I picked Florida.
Yeah,
in the
I've heard that.
Hell,
I think we've even had that conversation on this show. I think with Frankie when I was talking about. I felt like U of H has a good shot at, and I really still feel like U of H has a good shot to take the tourney. But for those reasons, like you guys mentioned, you know, I think Florida's going to beat Maryland. Absolutely. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think Florida takes it.
Before we go to the next game, I want to ask you guys. I was watching ESPN, and Seth Greenberg was on there, and he brought up an idea, and I thought it was a good idea. Whenever the NCAA tournament starts, until it's over, he feels like that portal should be closed for coaches and for players. And it was.
I agree with that.
When the NCAA brackets are announced, you cannot enter the portal. You can't talk to nobody, whatever, until the following Wednesday after the finals.
Well, I think that would be best, but they say the reason that they can't do it like that is because of the way the college semesters line up, and for kids to be able to enroll and get enrolled in the classes and stuff. That's what they say is why the portal is the way it is, because of when the semesters are and the kids being able to enroll in classes when they transfer.
Look like there'd be a way around that somehow, though. I would think, but maybe not. I mean, I don't know much about college.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm just that's one of the reasons I've heard of why the portal they are, because it's the same thing during football too. The college football playoff portal opened during the college football playoffs.
Okay.
And then it happens in basketball as well, and that's what they say. That's the reason they give. I don't know how valid it you would.
I guess what I'm asking is you're saying it's that way because of the enrollment period, not a class start date, but the enrollment period, correct?
Yes. To be able.
I guess to your point, Tony, the way I think they can work around that. Look, guys, these are big time athletes. They're bringing money to the fucking programs. I know for a while they can miss a damn enrollment. As long as they're there for the first day of class or whatever, they can make room. That one person, two person, whatever, they'll make the room for that. I feel like there's a way that they could work around that part of it. You know, I mean, there's got to be I would think there'd be an exception that can be made. I would think.
Okay. Next game up, guys. Arizona against Duke.
Yeah, that's the one where one of Duke's players is actually injured. I was reading. Let me see what it was. I was reading.
I'm gonna go
Brown.
with Duke.
Is it Brown? Duke's Brown's shoulder. He may or may not play against Arizona.
Yeah, I like Duke. I don't know if I wouldn't take him at not -9.5. Like if I was betting against the spread, if I was betting against the spread, I would take Arizona to cover, but I think Duke wins the game. But I think it's going to be closer than basically 10 points.
Yeah, I think Duke was the biggest favorite out of these 4 games, I believe.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride the Duke wave too as well. I always said as long as Flag is healthy, that's gonna be the team to beat. And I was reading it's Malik Brown, but this guy has been out since the ACC tournament, so he's really not a whole big factor in them, other than the fact that he could actually make it back for that. So with that being said, yeah, I'm gonna roll with Duke on that. I'm not gonna bet against Duke. I know Arizona's got a good squad over there, but
yeah, like I said, the spread wise, I would take Arizona in the plus 9.5 points because I think it'll be a closer game than that. But I definitely think Duke's going to win the game.
Okay, guys, the last game for tonight is Arkansas at Texas Tech.
This is the game I'm on the fence about.
Texas Tech looked really good, but maybe it's because it's Calipari. I'm gonna go with Arkansas. I'm going with the upset.
Yeah. I'm real quick. I'm gonna lean the same way you are, Tony. I like Calipari. I liked him ever since he was with Kentucky. I felt like what he's done in the playoffs right now, and the teams that he's beaten, and the quality of teams that he's beaten. Even though I know they're the number 10 ranked going against, and then Texas Tech is my team. In terms of the being in the state of Texas, I always support Texas schools. But the realistic person in me, I can see Arkansas pulling that upset.
I was getting ready to say, did hell just freeze over? He's picking against the Texas team. What the hell?
Texas
yeah. And I will tell you, I was really on the fence with that because I never like to go against Texas teams. But realistically, the way Arkansas, I don't know, they're just playing magical right now. They've had some really good wins, and I feel like magic is on their side.
Yeah, Texas Tech has played really well, so it was a hard decision for me. But I think Arkansas might get the job done.
No, I agree with you guys. I'm going to go with Arkansas as well. Texas Tech has been shooting the hell out of the ball. That's what's going to come down to me is can Arkansas keep Texas Tech from getting hot from 3-point range. If they can keep that under control. Plus, what I like about Arkansas, they're getting another one of their players back. One of the guys that had been hurt, and he didn't play last game. He hadn't played in the tournament yet. He's coming back. Last game they had got another one of their guys back, so now they got 2 of their better players back that they didn't have at the start of the tournament. So I like that. And Arkansas impressed me with the physicality that they played with against a St. John's team that is so physical on defense, and the way Arkansas was able to handle that and kind of was just as physical with them. Yeah. So I like Arkansas in this game as well.
I like the way Arkansas, even though St. John's has a real good defense, I like the way Arkansas attacked that defense.
And it's hard to pick against Coach Calipari.
Yep.
And let's be honest,
love him or hate him, he knows what he's doing when it comes about coaching basketball, and it's hard to pick against.
I just like the fact that Arkansas came into this, and like you said, they took out the number 1 ranked St. John's. They took out Kansas. They took out Kansas by 7. They took out St. John's by almost 11 or almost 10. So it's not like St. John was close in that because they almost got beat by 10.
You know what's most impressive
about it? It's a much bigger team. What's
most impressive about it? When Calipari took the job and when he got there, you know how many scholarship players he had on the team?
Oh, I'd be curious to know.
0. Everybody left. Everybody that was under scholarship had entered the transfer portal. He had 0 scholarship players on the team when he got there at the beginning of the season.
And Jamie,
so he put put that team together. Then they started out 0-5. Started out 0-5 in the SEC, and then now they're in the Sweet 16. But yeah, when he got there, he had zero scholarship players on the roster. Everybody had.
That's the kind of coach
he didn't know that. He didn't know that until he'd already signed and got there, and then he found out, everybody's gone. I don't have nobody.
I don't have no team.
But on the flip side of that coin, you look at Texas Tech, and yes, they got past Drake, and yes, they got past UNC, whatever that Willingham or Willington, whatever. But they're just, when you look at the level of opponents, the quality of the opponents that they're beating, it would be very hard to think that Texas Tech, would be able to do it.
And the coaches are beating. He beat Patino, and then the coach of Kansas is a hell of a coach.
Yeah. Like I said, these aren't just some You know, it's just the quality of the competition that they've.
The only thing I don't like about the game tonight is why the hell are we starting a game at 9:40 and another game at 10 after 10?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's start the games a little earlier.
Well, I will say this. Do you
I know
think
I know for you it's an hour earlier than that, but for us,
what I'm saying is, look, guys, we got opening day in baseball. You had to think that the NCAA had to take that opening day in consideration, and they would say, let's put the games a little later to get the.
Well, they've been doing that all tournament. There's been games starting like at 10:30.
Yeah, then I don't know why they're doing that. I mean, that's the only reason I could think of why they would have them that late. It doesn't. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it doesn't make sense that they have them so late.
Because I mean, there's some 7:00 games, but the other ones don't start till like 10 or.
I'm gonna watch Reds. I'm gonna watch the college basketball. Before we get out of here, I want to bring up something, Chris. Something Jay will be interested, but not as interested as me and you. McAfee brought this up. I don't know if you heard it today, if he was listening at the time, about the NCAA wrestling, and he made a suggestion where everything is going so well with the NCAA right now, with the college basketball, the women's basketball. NCAA wrestling had really good ratings on TV. He said he thought they should move it where maybe the NCAA wrestling tournament ended right before, because they was running kind of at the same time with the NCAA basketball. You know,
they do. It starts the same day.
Starts the same day. So he feels like they should maybe start a week earlier and that Saturday before, because they kick things off.
They don't even really have to start a week earlier. Just do your national championships the weekend before.
Yeah, the weekend before.
You would have. You'd have the conference tournaments for college basketball going on.
Yeah,
but I don't think as many people.
No.
Not as many people get consumed with it like they do the March Madness tournament. I've always thought that wrestling, and even not just wrestling, the bigger one to me is women's college basketball. I think it's so stupid that they do the women's college basketball tournament at the exact same time as the men's tournament.
Yep.
To me, that they're missing out on a chance that we were talking about the other day about growing the game. The women's game is growing. How much more would it grow if the tournament was going on and it wasn't going against the men's tournament? More people would watch it, and they'd even in these days now, more people would be worried about it because they're betting on it. And if women's games and all games on, you don't think all these people are going to be watching them, betting and watching? I guarantee it.
It just seems, if you look at the financial side of it, it makes more sense to not have them run congruently, like you said, because you're going to not have the full audience that you could have. So you're actually going to be losing money trying to have one sport go up against another sport, especially like March Madness.
And with the wrestling championships, that final round on Saturday night when the finals and there's 10 matches, there ain't a much better event than that to watch. I mean, like, dude, them dudes go. It's a war out there. It's fun. It's great to watch, and more people are starting to realize that. Like, and I love it. The McAfee's been the last couple of years. He's been he promotes the hell out of the March Madness, and I'm glad he does, because if more people would see what it really is, a lot more people would watch it. Because I think some people they think of wrestling and it's just guys grabbing. No, go watch it. It's a fight. Only difference is you're not throwing punches. I mean, it's
a ground and pound game. Yeah, it's a ground pound
fight. Yeah, they had Gable on. McAfee had Gable on.
And he's having the one guy on today.
He had the guy the one who beat Gable.
I didn't get to see that yet.
I did see it. It was excellent. And I didn't know this. He's a lieutenant in the Air Force also.
Yep. Yeah, they said it during the broadcast.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's an Air Force lieutenant.
Also, he
transferred to Oklahoma State because he had graduated from Air Force, but they don't allow a grad student to. He still had a year of eligibility left, but at Air Force and at the Armed Forces academies, they don't let you can't be a grad student and compete. So he transferred to Oklahoma State so he could wrestle his last year of eligibility.
Wow, that's interesting.
And if I remember right, they said once he's done wrestling, because now he's going to go wrestle some international stuff. But once he's done wrestling, then he enters like a 5-year, whatever he signed with the Air Force. Yeah, with the Air Force.
One other thing, and we're talking about being smart and getting more viewers for your product. WWE this year moved WrestleMania away from. They've always been the same weekend as the Final Four.
Right.
Always has been. But this year they moved away from that. TKO, who owns them, said, "Hey, why are we going against this?
Right.
You know, we can get more viewers, and that's what we want."
And this is something I don't. This is something I think they need to change. Why can I get on my phone or go to a sports book and I can bet on college basketball? I can bet on women's college basketball. I can bet on football. You can bet on all these sports. Why the hell can I bet on college wrestling? What you have them finals and you have those 10 matches on? You know how many people would bet on that wrestling tournament if you were allowed to bet?
No. That's one of the things you got to go to Johnny Two Thumbs and make them undercover bets.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? To me, I mean,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and that's another way that I know people hate to hear it, but that's another way to grow this. That grows the sports is because if you can bet on it, people are going to bet on it, and if they have money on it, they're going to watch it. So that helps draw more eyeballs.
People bet on pro wrestling.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why can't you bet?
Yeah,
I guarantee you, if I could have bet on the college wrestling tournament last week, I would have had some bets in.
Yeah,
one of them might have won. At least one of them I'd have made would have won. A couple other ones would have lost, but I know. But everybody
it makes sense. I mean,
everybody would have lost the damn heavyweight match. Nobody would. Everybody would have had all their money on Gable.
Yeah.
Nobody, you know what I mean? But to me, I think it'd be cool if you could bet on that. Like you can bet on all these other sports. I wish they'd start putting out odds on those sports so you can bet on them.
You bet on UFC. A lot of people bet on UFC.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite. I like betting on NFL, UFC, and baseball. Baseball is probably what I'm the best at when it comes to picking games and stuff is baseball. But I like NFL and UFC. But UFC I'm pretty good at too. But
can you bet on tennis or golf? Can you bet on either one of those? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That's where you can bet on tennis and golf, but like you can't bet on wrestling.
My cousin bets on golf almost every weekend. He's always watching the golf tournaments.
That's such a fickle sport.
Yeah, you can bet on soccer. You can bet on soccer, tennis. Like I said, you can bet on all that stuff.
Wow.
I don't know if you can bet on like college tennis.
Yeah, I'm not sure about college.
Yeah, probably not.
I mean, like hell, you can bet on college basketball.
Can you bet on college baseball?
I think so.
Why not?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Well, guys, you guys got anything else before we get out of here?
Oh no, I think I've exhausted all of the topics I could thought about earlier today.
We can hit them other NCAA games tomorrow.
Oh hell yeah!
Plus
4 games tomorrow.
Yeah, we got less than an hour before first pitch.
Yep. Yeah.
You're not gonna miss much. Maybe a loss. You won't miss much. You'll be all right.
This shit. You guys start about the same time we do.
I know, man. Hey, listen, man. Yeah, we play. I think 3:10. I think is our game time. It's in Houston, so it'll be 3:00 our time, 4:00 on the Eastern side of life.
You guys play at 3:10. You've already missed it. It's 20 after 3.
I think it's like 3. No. 3:10 my time. It's only 3:20 right now. Look at you, man, trying to be all smarty pants over there. Let me tell you something, Gonzo. We're gonna talk about this tomorrow.
Let's get out of here.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody watching. Please like, follow, subscribe all on social media, ESEN, Elite Sports and Entertainment Network, and also at Gonzo Sports Room. And we will see you guys tomorrow right around 2:00.
One more thing, super quick. Before you hit the button. Hey, I did want to put out tomorrow at 3:00, between 3:00 and 3:05 on the Whiskey Hour. We're going to have Celeste Marie Wilson talking about her country music. You're going to want to listen to this young lady. She's going to be doing at least 3 or 4 songs live on the show, and she has a voice. I swear to God. It's like Billie Eilish and Kay Flay met and had a kid. So you're going to want to catch that. It'll be on the Whiskey Hour right here on our link tree. You can find us.
I came on to say opening day leadoff home run.
Jay, that's Central Time?
Yeah, 3:00 Central. Yes, sir.
4:00 Eastern, 3:00 Central.
Yes, sir. 3:00 and then 4:00 Eastern. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.